Hey everybody, this is so exciting. So first of all, prepping everything, my apologies in advance for any bumbles and jumbles as I'm trying to get used to navigating all of this high-tech stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. It is 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, here in Winter Garden, Florida. We are live, believe it or not. So if you hear dogs barking, my apologies. We're trying to keep them calm. Gave them a few treats a minute ago. We're just really excited to have you here. So if you follow us on Instagram, you'll notice that every Monday morning we actually post a coffee post. It's kind of our way to start the week, not just in the morning, but to start the week, hopefully in a positive way, even when sometimes there's not quite as much positivity around in the world as we would like. But hopefully that will start your day off. And kind of as an extension of that, we decided that I would share my morning coffee with you. Although for me, it's probably like I've gone from the hot caffeine to the cold Diet Coke caffeine, and now I'm kind of back to the warm. So today's mug of the day, this actually, now I have to turn around and I also have to wipe off the lipstick from where, okay, so there we go. So this is a mug that my daughter gave me. I'm sure you've seen these before, but this is my daughter Elizabeth gave this to me. So this is supposed to be the two of us. So I've got that whole cabinet, as I'm sure most of you do as well, that cabinet of coffee mugs that you've collected over the years. You know, some of it may or may not even match your dishes. Hi, everybody. This is so exciting. Germany, Richmond, Virginia. Woohoo, Virginia. We've got Claremont, New Jersey. I saw London in there. This is super exciting. Oh my gosh. I love all of you. Fort Worth, Texas. My son lives in Texas. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So anyway, so back to that cabinet of all of those coffee mugs. So I'm sure you probably have them like I do, floating around. Maybe you got them as souvenirs when you were out on vacation, or maybe just a gift shop somewhere. Maybe it was just a singular one. It was super pretty. But that's kind of what I'm going to do. It's a way for me to inspire myself to use some of those mugs that now have been shoved to the back of the cabinet. So the first one, I had my daughter Elizabeth pick it out. And so this is, of course, the one that she chose. These are really cool. We have a few different versions of these, so we'll show you those kind of as we go. I love this idea too, Lisa. Thank you. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh. I didn't think anybody would watch. I paid my kids to watch, but all right. So we are here again on Monday morning. It is 9 o'clock here in Winter Garden, wherever you are watching, whether it is here on the East Coast with me and we are enjoying this beautiful, beautiful Florida day, or whether you are in another country and maybe the weather isn't quite as ideal. Thank you for welcoming me into your day. Again, whether it's morning or evening or middle of the night, we appreciate it very much. So this is supposed to be just kind of a time for us to chat back and forth. And I am going to take some of these questions and say hi to Boston, Claremont. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Massachusetts. And I have some of my regulars. I love this. Some of the people, when we've done some of our home tour premieres, I always had like the same crew of people. And, when I started in real estate, coming up with the name Heart and Home was absolutely a no-brainer. That was the catalyst for everything else that we did. More Texas people, hello. And that's exactly why we do this. Having, excuse me, like in real estate, whether you're moving, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whether you're coming to Florida or whether you're not, it's a very emotional experience. And I think sometimes in this world, we forget so often that it really is emotional, and that understanding that from the real estate perspective, it's not about a transaction. It's about really connecting with your client and making sure that they know that you're in good hands, and more than just good hands, sometimes you've got warm hearts and open arms. And I think that's really, really important. So hopefully you coming into my home, and this is my home, this is my office, and it's probably, it's okay. You can't see the mess around it, but that part's probably okay. But anyway, so again, thank you for joining us this morning. And I don't have a time limit on this. It could be a few minutes. It could be a little bit longer. I do have appointments this afternoon, so it won't be all day. Although I think my husband is very curious to maybe do a 24-hour live stream. And I don't know that that's exciting at all for me. Anyway, all right. So you'll see that there's a little ticker scrolling at the bottom that's just talking about whether or not you want to submit a question. I think that would be great. I would love for you to do that. But just because my brain, if I'm trying to talk to you here here and focus on the subject as well as look at the comments. If you could just put a Q there beside me, that would be really helpful, just because I can kind of, scan through those. All right, so one of the things I want to talk about is kind of how we decompress, right? How most people, and maybe it's you and your family, or maybe you when you were younger, it was your family back then, go on vacation, right? You have that summer vacation. It's kind of iconic. Everybody seems to do that. I remember going on a few family vacations. For me, it was mostly a lot of trips to New York with my mother, and mostly for dance, right? I was a dancer. My mother owned a dance studio, so I grew up dancing. And every summer we would go to New York, and we would take classes in New York and do some conventions and things like that. But as I've gotten older, obviously, once we had kids, well, of course, our family vacation is Disney, so it's kind of perfect that we live in Disney's backyard, seeing and hearing the fireworks every night from our own home, which is pretty amazing. But as we've gotten older, the kids have grown up, and if you followed us, we do have 4 kids. Our youngest now is a junior in high school, actually finishing his junior year. I think this is their last week of school. It's kind of all of their EOCs, their end of course exams this week, which is something we can talk about sometime, about how the schools in Florida operate here this last month. But so when Eric and I go on vacation, it doesn't really happen often. And a few years ago, prior to the pandemic, I was just really overwhelmed, super, super, super busy. And he kind of surprised me. He's just planned a trip for us, and we went to the Sandals Resort at Great Exuma Island there in the Bahamas. Never having been to a resort like that before, it was kind of perfect. I was nervous about going. If you don't know me, which many of you don't, or at least you know what I share with you on the video, so I'm sharing something now. I am a very nervous traveler. I have to know where the bathrooms are wherever we go. It stresses me out if I don't know where they are. I need to understand what is in front of me. It makes me calm, and I need that when I'm traveling. Maybe it's just because I'm older. Maybe it's because I have kids, and there's a different kind of paranoia that kind of comes into you as an adult. But when we went to Bahamas the first time, it was so exciting. Having been there and come back, excuse me, it was fabulous because from the Orlando airport to the Miami airport, super quick, easy flight, like an hour. And then from the Miami airport to the Great Exuma airport, it was like another hour. It's like you're up and then you're down, and that's fabulous. And then you go to the little airport there at Great Exuma, which is adorable because it's just this little tiny little place. And then it's like a 10-minute drive to the resort. So for me, as the anxious, nervous traveler, I could wrap my mind around an hour flight to Miami, an hour flight to Great Exuma, 10-minute drive to the resort, and then I'm there. I don't have to go anywhere else. I am good. I'm calm. I'm safe. I'm comfortable. So we went to Sandals for the second time because Eric and I have kind of named this is our place. We love that area. We love the Bahamas. We love the water. It's absolutely gorgeous. Vacation for me is actually not touring and doing excursions. It's literally just sitting on the beach and then sitting in the hotel room, eating in the hotel room. We don't drink, so we really didn't take advantage of the all-inclusive aspect of that. But we did go recently. We just got back a few weeks ago. We had a very quick, like 2.5-day vacation there at Great Exuma. Beautiful, beautiful room as far as the location and the walk-out accessibility to the beach. However, when we came back, we noticed we were home about a week or two, and then we saw this on the news. Where three U.S. tourists were found deceased there at the same exact resort. And it was really, really scary because according to the news that we saw, and I mean, I obviously don't know the details of everything, but when they showed some of the pictures and the video shots, it looked very, very close to, if not the rooms beside where we were, which is really, really scary. I don't know if they ever found out what the final determination was for what happened. I believe that someone had mentioned once that it's quite possibly carbon monoxide poisoning, which kind of stands to reason. Eric, if you don't know my husband, Eric, of course you know him because you watch him on the Sunday drives with me. But he is actually also, he's been appointed as, and I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, but it's like the Citizens Advisory Board in the Sheriff's Department here in Orange County. And he went to one of those meetings the other night. And I think someone there had mentioned perhaps that, the carbon monoxide discussion, that he was curious as to why, or maybe not so curious, maybe suggesting that for those of us who do travel a little bit, that they have these portable carbon monoxide detectors that you can actually purchase and take with you. And that would have been a really, really, really smart thing. I actually didn't even know they made portable ones. I mean, if you think about homes here, pretty much homes anywhere at this point, but specifically here in Florida, because that's what I do in real estate here, it is absolutely code. It is standard construction code that we have those carbon monoxide detector in the home that is wired to the fire detectors as well, smoke detectors. But that's not necessarily the same codes everywhere. That's a different country. So they may not have that. And I do remember on this trip, and it's just really kind of eerily coincidental that when Eric and I were there, as much as we loved it, I mean, absolutely beautiful as far as the we always get the room that walks out to the beach, because again, that's the vacation for me, is opening up the doors and walking to the beach. But I did notice this time, I had told Eric, I said, I really think these rooms could use kind of like a revamping, like a little bit of an update. It's showing its age a little bit. And the fact that I made that comment, and then we come back and then there's something like this, I sure hope none of that is related, and lots and lots and lots of love and hugs to those families that are dealing with that. But that's kind of scary, right? To know that you were at the exact same resort having your vacation, and then to come home and literally I was in the shower and Eric came into the bathroom and said, "You're not going to believe this." And so that's a little bit scary. So love and hugs to all of those who are dealing with that. And I sure hope it wasn't carbon monoxide, but I do think that the carrying a portable carbon monoxide detector that I didn't even know existed could be something that we might want to add to our packing list if we travel. So, all right, so I'm going to take a couple of questions and then we are going to go to the next piece of it. So let me see here. Let me find a question or two. All right. So let me see. Where's a question? Oh my gosh, look at all of these people. What are you guys doing in the morning? Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's do this question over here. All right, so Jay, thank you. He says, are there any Florida or Orlando specific closing costs outside the general standard closing costs? So it's going to be different from state to state, but there's a lot of things that are going to be common. Your title transfer fees, all of those typical aspects, the closing costs on the loan itself. I always tell people that here in Florida, because we don't have state income tax, that there's other ways that they kind of have their fair share. And our closing costs, I think, candidly, are a little bit higher than in other places. But just to give you an example, generally speaking, so do not take this as 100% definitive, giving your situation. But closing costs here tend to be about 5% of your loan amount. And that's important to note, because there's a lot of people that don't understand that those closing costs involved do need to be calculated into it. So that is a very good, that's a good question, Jay. Thank you. All right, we're going to do another question, and then I promise, here's one. Elizabeth says, how close were we in relation to that incident? So back to the Sandals thing, I'm assuming. So again, we don't know exactly what room it happened in. But when you look at the news footage and they're kind of showing the aerial drone shots of the rooms, having been there before, you can tell everything is kind of located around that big central, the fun pool, right? Which we've actually never been in, because it's the fun pool. We don't want to have fun. We just want to go relax. So you can tell kind of based where that big, massive resort pool is. The first time we were there, we were way down on this end. The second time that we were there, we were just a couple units over, and it looked like that unit was right there as well. So I think we were pretty close. Ultimately, it just breaks my heart that it happened to anybody. But all right, let's do one more. I said one more before, but let's do one more now. If I can find one. There's so many. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Good question, Ben. Perfect. Actually, that was on one of my lists. I have a little sticky note over here. See, look, I'll even show you a sticky note about that exact issue. So Ben was asking about the Ovation Village here in Winter Garden. They're getting cold feet about the Toll Brothers, Ovation, and Del Webb Oasis. Has the water issues been fixed? And what are the wait times? If they're even selling. So that is a great question. And it really is something that was I was going to touch on a little bit. So if you are not familiar, so in the Horizon West, it is made up of multiple villages. One of the newer villages that is now developing, Encore Ovation was the original community with MI Homes in that area, not affected by this. But on the opposite side of Avalon Road, that's where you're going to have Highland Ridge. That's where you're going to have West Haven at Ovation. That's where you have Del Webb Oasis, which is the new 55 plus community. And yes, you are correct. There was a relatively significant water main issue, which basically ceased everything. Everything stopped. In fact, they moved some of the Del Webb Oasis site agents to another community just because everything kind of was like, just pause it, nothing's happening. But I do believe that they're getting closer. I know you have cold feet. Get them warm them back up. It'll be fine. That's just something that has to be addressed. And new construction it's always a mess, right? Especially with new communities. There's the positive and the negative. Whenever you jump into contracting in a newer community, you reap the benefits of the lower pricing, perhaps the lower lot premiums, although that's funny, right? Because you and I, Ben, know those are no small lot premiums in those areas. But you do typically get the I won't say the better lots, because sometimes the better lots are, located in the back outskirts of the communities. But you do get those initial ones, which are obviously going to be very nice. You get in at that base pricing. You have the benefit of seeing what you paid as your base price, even if it's high. It's going to go higher. Each number of sales that they have, that base price is going to increase. So you might look and you might have, purchased a floor plan and you may have had a base price of, $600. And then by the time you've even broken ground, you look on their website and that new base price is now $630. And you're like, hot diggity, that's $30,000 and we haven't even broken ground yet. So, so that's the positive. The negative is that you do have to deal with all of these bumps and bruises along the way, especially when they are still working on that community infrastructure. And that's kind of important, right? We need that stuff to be in place. And sometimes accidents happen or water mains break and then they have to do, sometimes it's small repairs and sometimes it's a bit more invasive and extensive, which does require the builders, kind of having to put an ixnay on it for a little bit. All right, so I'm going to take this comment away. All right, guys, so we are going to come back in just a second. We're going to talk about what's brewing, which is, I don't know, it's kind of a way for me to wrap my head around what I did this past weekend and what I've got to do this coming week. All right, so we will be right back. Okay, how'd you like that? That's cool, right? I have to say my husband's a genius. He does all this fun stuff for me, and I will say he does have a television background, which is super helpful. I mean, I married right. I had no idea I'd be doing this back when I was a dancer, but all right. So this is our little What's Brewing segment. So this is where we're going to talk not just about real estate. We're going to talk about just life, things that are going on in our life. I know we talked a lot about our vacation at Sandals. It won't always be about that. We'll talk a lot about real estate as well. And again, that's part of where your questions will come in, so I can make sure that I'm going to, that I can kind of go deeper into that. But this is a few things that kind of happened over the past few days and things that I have scheduled for this week. So the first one is Boo Boo's wedding. So Boo Boo is my daughter. Her name is not Boo Boo, but we've always called her Boo Boo. She is the most kind, genuine, sweetest heart. She's just amazing. But as a child, so she's really tall and really skinny, and her little legs, we used to think like a little giraffe. And she was a little bit clumsy, when she was younger. And so quite often she would take the tumbles, as little kids do. And so she would always have, have to have like stock and Band-Aids. And, so if she Okay, I gotta turn my little ding ding off. Hold on. There we go. Turned it off. Sorry about that. So she would fall down. We would have our stock and band-aids, and she would have her skinned up knees. And so we just started to affectionately call her Boo Boo. So Boo Boo's wedding. Well, Boo Boo is not that little girl with the little knobby knees anymore. She's grown into her own beautiful young woman. She is my third child, my second daughter, and she is in college. She's still got another 2 years, I guess, to go. She got engaged at Christmas to her high school sweetheart. They've been dating for 5 years at this point. And he is in the Army and getting ready to be deployed. I am not from a military family. However, I grew up in a really, really heavily populated military community. I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So if you are in the military, I'm sure you know all about Norfolk and all of the Navy bases there and the Air Force bases at Langley. And so I grew up, even though, again, my dad wasn't in the military, although he did serve in the Army for a while when he was younger. But we were not, military family, so to speak. I did have a lot of friends and family who were military. And so I was very accustomed to the life that they had to live with relocating every so often. But my best friend actually was a military family, and we are still best friends to this day. So anyway, so Elizabeth's fiance, that is Boo Boo's name, her fiance is getting ready to be deployed. And so even though their wedding was originally scheduled for a little bit later, because he's leaving, they decided that they would like to have the legal ceremony prior to him leaving. And I can completely understand that and appreciate it. So they are going to have a ceremony here coming up the first part of July. Yes, that means like it was very soon. And we will probably do for them what our other daughter had to do. She was actually, okay, so here's the thing. So 2020, we all know that was a cuckoo year. Not a great year for any of us. And the two inconveniences that my family had to suffer pales in comparison to what many families had to deal with during that time. So what I'm saying is merely inconvenience, nothing that is as difficult as other people went through. But so my daughter Elizabeth was a senior in the year of 2020. So her graduation consisted of walking across the screen to the virtual graduation ceremony because they didn't have one. And then my other daughter Alyssa had been engaged, and they were planning their big wedding back in Virginia in 2022. Obviously, we postponed that. They also got married in a smaller ceremony, and then this past October we did the big ceremony in Virginia, the way you typically imagine, with all the bridesmaids and everything, and that was beautiful. But for Elizabeth's wedding, we did a little bit of girl time this past weekend, and we did get the dress, and we have an appointment later on to work on a couple of the other details. So that's what's brewing in my personal life there. The second category is back to Virginia. So we are from Virginia. I am from Virginia Beach, Virginia, born and raised. So the beach is my spot, right? That's what I love, which is probably why when I go on vacation, I just want to sit on the beach. But so from Virginia Beach, Virginia, when we got married, we moved to Yorktown. So we lived in Yorktown, and that's essentially where we, started and raised our family until we moved here to Florida. But my oldest, who now lives in Texas, he actually went to UVA, worked for UVA for a couple years after final exercises, graduation. And then he now works for the University of Texas in Austin. And I honestly, between us, I think that when Alyssa got married back in Virginia, the Virginia weather is just amazing. And if you've not been to Virginia, or if you don't know what I'm talking about, you really have to go, especially in the fall, because it's absolutely glorious. That is my favorite time of year. And I will say in Florida, we don't really get a fall. Fall is kind of like our winter, where it's a little bit crisp in the air. But I do think when we were there, it was really kind of glorious. And I think that my oldest was kind of like, I can work from home, so maybe I'm gonna move back to Virginia. So we're actually in the process of that, which is why these coffee times are gonna start weekly in June, which is just a couple weeks away. And that's partly because I actually need to go out to Texas to get him packed up and moved out. His home is gonna be going on the market very soon there. So I need to sell his Texas home, and we need to find him a home in Virginia. So that's that part of it. And the next part really references real estate. So buyer visits. So very happy. We had a really good weekend. We got a home under contract. That was one of our listings, pretty high price point, a little over $2 million. And that is a difficult price point for pretty much anybody. Those buyers are a little bit fewer and further between. So it took a little bit longer to get that one sold, but we did. We have a buyer for that one. We're super excited because that means that everybody, buyers and sellers, can start to move forward. And I think that whenever we're talking about buying or selling, that's what we need, is we need that permission to move forward, because otherwise we're caught in that perpetual state of the unknown, like we're treading water and we don't feel like we can really move forward because we don't know where we're going, and are we going to have to stay where we are? But so both parties are now able to make their decisions to move forward. And then actually today I have a client in town. I'm going to meet with her this afternoon, and we're going to go take a look at two of my favorite floor plans. They are larger floor plans. Excuse me. They are out in Claremont. Well, one is in Claremont, one is in Mineola, same builder. The floor plans are called the Palmer and the Exberry. They are both by Hanover Family Builders, and Hanover Family Builders, I have to tell the story because it's amazing. So Hanover Family Builders used to be Royal Oak Homes. When we moved here from Virginia, we actually built a Royal Oak home. We built the Parker floor plan. The Parker is amazing, which is essentially very similar to their Palmer that they have now. So that builder with Royal Oak Homes became Hanover Family Builders. Same floor plans, everything was, well, not the same floor plans, tweaked floor plans because it was no longer Royal Oak, but beautiful floor plans, very, very lovely. And they've just been acquired by Land Sea Homes, which is a very big, I believe, a national builder, whereas Hanover was a little bit more Florida local. So if you are confused, if any of you have seen any of these floor plans, or if you've seen something and we have a logo up and you go to their website, now it looks something different, that's why. Hanover Family Builders was acquired by Land Sea Homes. But it's the same. Those communities like Ridgeview, Preserve at Sunrise, Ardmore Reserve, and all of those other ones that were originally Hanover Family Builders still have the heart of Hanover. It just has the name of Land Sea, and Land Sea has a wonderful heart too. But that's why. So for instance, today we're going to go out to Ridgeview, and we're going to go tour that Exberry, and then we're going to go over to Ardmore Reserve, and we're going to tour the Palmer, both of which are very large floor plans, and that's something that personally, I'm pretty excited to see in Claremont. Some of us, I've got 4 kids. When we moved here, we needed a large home. We needed a lot of bedrooms. And yes, I know, I'm fully aware that 2 of mine were in college when we moved here, but it doesn't matter. If you're a parent, you know that you really want to have a safe place for your kids no matter what happens in life. So we wanted to make sure we had a home large enough to accommodate them. But in Claremont, oftentimes when you would look at new construction, those floor plans were not quite as large. So that was a little bit of a challenge for a lot of my buyers who maybe didn't quite have the price point to be in the Winter Garden or Windermere area, but really needed that square footage. And so there really weren't that many options out in Claremont. And now we do. Now we have the Exberry and the Palmer, and that's what we're going to go see today. And they're gorgeous floor plans. The Exberry is, wow, it is a stunning, stunning, stunning model. We just posted that video tour the other day. So after this, feel free to go back and watch that. And just speaking of that, so for those of you that don't have any clue who I am, I know I see a lot of these names over to the side, and some of you are my clients, you're under contract. Hey, Jim. Some of you are potential clients that have become lifelong friends. Shafiq, thank you. And just there's so many of them, but this is just a super exciting time. So let's talk about, let me see some questions if there's another one in here. Here's another one about updates that are coming to the Hamlin area. So yes, we are so excited. So if you are not, here, hold on, wait a minute. I have this. I didn't do it. Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe if I do it this way. It's not working. Okay, I have a little Hamlin thing. Anyway, so in the Hamlin area, so Hamlin is kind of this section, the retail section or the commercial section here of the Horizon West area. So we have Horizon West is Winter Garden. People think of it as 2 separate things. It kind of is, but it also isn't. It is Winter Garden. It's not called Horizon West, Florida 34787. It is Winter Garden, Florida 34787. Now, will that always be? Who knows? But this area, this Horizon West area is unincorporated Winter Garden. And it just means a few different things, like we're still waiting for certain kind of services. We do have a fire station and things like that. But I mean, candidly, my biggest thing was the trash. So like in Winter Garden where we lived before, trash came twice a week. Here it comes once a week, a little bit cuckoo and crazy, but that's okay. But the Hamlin area is the shopping area. So if you are familiar with this area, so we already have, the Publix, the Walmart, Sinopolis, which is the luxury movie theater. We have Ford's Garage. We have the Great Greek Restaurant. We have Bosphorus. We have, what else do we have? We have the Pizza Press, which I go to quite often. I love that. And actually, the next time I think I'm going to try the cauliflower pizza crust. If you've ever had that, tell me what you think. And then there's, oh my gosh, there's so many things. And now what's coming is we have, what's the other one called? This is getting ready to open up. Tijuana Flats. That's it. Tijuana Flats. There's another one that's getting ready to open. And then we also have the Mark, which is located right outside of Watermark. Still technically that Hamlin area. And it's going to have some restaurants. It's going to have like some little sandwich shops. It's going to have like a dentist, a hair salon, a couple things like that. So there's a couple things that are kind of coming in that area as well. There's a new Publix coming right outside of the Waterley community. There's a lot coming. So a lot to look forward to in this particular area. All right, I'm going to see if I can find another question. There's just so many. Here's a good one. Eric says push the Hamlin button. Still didn't do it. So it's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Technical difficulties. It's our first time. It's all cool. All right. So JB3. So what are the side effects of the high inflation and possible recession having on the real estate market? Okay. That is a great question. And we hear that all the time. A lot of people are putting out the red alert, everything's going to crash. Okay. So no one has the crystal ball. No one really knows what's on the other side of anything, do we? If we did, life would kind of be boring. But here's the thing. So yes, there's no doubt that the interest rates have increased. I believe that they are expecting another increase in July. And so here's the thing. So in my opinion, it's just my opinion, people still need shelter. There are a lot of people that are moving because they can and they want to, but there's many more people that are moving because they have to. Whether it's that they are renting and can no longer afford to rent, believe it or not, that's like crazy rental increases. But there's a lot of people who have to move for job relocation, job transfers. Maybe it's just a life transfer. Maybe it's retirement. And so they're not going to be where they are and they need to move. So we need to take that want equation out and remember that a lot of people really have to move. And so they're still looking. So the higher interest rate is going to create probably a little bit of a problem for some people who, here's an example. So let's say you built with a builder that did an escalatory clause in their contract. And by the way, that is not common. And not here in Florida. In Florida, our contracts are standard. So your purchase agreements to new construction are going to be standard amongst all the builders. The differences are going to be key and specific to that builder. And what do they consider included standard options? What are the specifics of their community? What are the amenities of their community? What are the elevations and the floor plans? And is it a gas community? Is it an electric community? Do they build with a tankless hot water heater? I mean, all of those things are going to be specific, and those standard options will be included as a different addendum in the addendums, whatever, the attachments in those contracts. But for a period of time, and possibly even still now, there was a builder that was going a different route, and they were doing the escalatory addendum clause in their new construction contracts. And the reason they were doing that was because while all of the other builders were like, we don't have anything to sell you, you can sit on a waiting list until we have those releases. The prices are going to continue to increase. You're not going to have any control over what is going to be available. So you could be on a waiting list for 6 months and still not have the home site release that you want. And there's probably other people on that waiting list for the same home site. So it left the buyer with a lot of insecurity and uncertainty as to what they would be able to do. So there was another builder who was like, you know what, we're going to go the different approach because people still need shelter. And I think it was a great thing to do. It was just different, and it does have some causes and effects, and that's kind of showing itself right now. And that was that they were saying, okay, look, all the other builders are saying, no, we can't let you contract right now, and you were in a state of personal turmoil because you don't know where you're going to live. So, and you can't make those forward motions like we were just talking about a minute ago. You can't actually swim towards something. You're still just treading water with that uncertainty of not knowing which direction you need to go. So this particular builder let you contract, even though the communities that they were allowing you to contract in were still doing their infrastructure. They're still shoveling dirt from side of the road to side of the road. They're still working on that infrastructure. So even though they could let you with their tentative, proposed site map, they knew how the community was going to be laid out. They knew how those home sites were going to be parceled out and divided and numbered. They would let you pick and choose your home site. You could pick and choose your floor plan. You could pick and choose your exterior elevation. You can go to the design center. You can build it to your specifications. You can even add a pool at the time of construction. And that was something that was, I say unheard of. That's the way it used to be, folks. But because of COVID, that became a very obsolete new construction opportunity with what else was going on. So that particular builder said, well, here's the trade-off. We're going to let you contract now and pick and choose everything. And we're going to contract you at today's price. But in the event that the building materials continue to increase, which they have, and there are additional delays that still wreak havoc with our production timeline, which they have, the builder does reserve the right to go back and adjust your final purchase price. And that's a little scary because you don't know what it is. There's no specific number. I don't believe there was a cap on it. But again, the builder's a very reputable builder. It has nothing to do with anyone trying to be sneaky or shady. It's just that that's the reality. It used to be 7 to 9 months to build a home from contract to closing. And now we're talking, if you even have that opportunity, it's about a year, sometimes more. So it's important to kind of know that they were doing everyone a solid by letting them contract and at least saying, I know where I'm going to go. Well, now, as those communities are coming to fruition, those homes are being built, and the builders are putting those price tags on them, they have realized that they need to adjust. And I promise, Jay, I'm getting back to your question, which is that, so now those homes are under construction. Some of them are getting ready to be completed. And now those buyers are being told that their price increase has going to come into effect now. And it could be small. I had a client with literally, it was a $5,000 increase. And I told him on the phone, take it and run, baby, take it and run. That's fantastic. I had another client, their increase came in at $22,500. That is a little bit more of, gives them a moment to think. But truthfully speaking, I said the first thing you have to do is see if you can afford a $22,500 increase in your approval. And if so, keep going, because we've lost a year's worth of our time. So there's no way you're going to find that same home for that same price. It's not going to happen. So even though it increased $22,500, it is still less than what we would have to spend to buy it again new. And then I will say there's some other ones that have been like $50,000, $60,000. And that, my friends, is where we get into the point of Jay's question, which is, so think about that buyer that at the time that they contracted maybe a year ago, maybe they were at the tip top of that approval. Like maybe they were like us when we first moved here and we really pushed that limit. And now, a year later, if things haven't changed substantially in their employment and their salary situation, financially speaking, they may not be qualified to follow through with the home that they've been waiting a year to build. And those are the ones that are going to break my heart. So I do think that we can probably expect to see some new construction, completed homes falling through at the last minute. Again, it crushes my spirit. I don't want that to happen to anybody. But that's where I think that the increase in the interest rate is going to play a big factor, because those people were approved at probably a 2.85 interest rate at that time. And now we're up to above 5. That's going to make a difference to a lot of people in what they can afford to qualify for. And more importantly, on a monthly basis, what they can afford in their mortgage. All right, let's see if I can find another question. And I know you guys are probably tired of me talking. Are you tired of me talking? The CIA is only. Hi, Rob. How are you? Oh my gosh, Navy brat Wendy. There you go, Mom of a Marine. We love that. Thank you. Oh my goodness, we've got so many people. All right, so here's the thing. Speaking of that, if you have asked questions, and I would love to be here all day, if you've ever talked to me on the phone, it's one of the first things that I tell my clients is that we are going to talk a lot about real estate. Sometimes I veer off course because I really feel connected to everybody, and I just feel like we're all old friends. So if I didn't get to your question during this particular live stream, we'll go back and we'll answer those. And like I said, in June, we anticipate doing this every Monday morning, mostly because I'm trying to get myself motivated to get up, to start my own week the same way that I tell everybody else to. So what we're gonna do real quick is I'm gonna take a break so I can cough for a second, have a sip of my coffee. Actually, I may have to warm it back up. By the way, here's my coffee. It's real coffee. See? It's very light colored because I personally prefer a lot of creamer, which is probably not good, but
Tell me your pet peeve.
my pet peeve. Eric chimed in. He wants me to tell you about my pet peeve. So here's my pet peeve. And I challenge all of you. The next time you are watching, excuse me, a video, a movie, Netflix series, Hallmark movie, TV show, every single time they are carrying the Starbucks-ish coffee things, they are flinging those things around like you would never do if you really had coffee in them. So I'm just saying that's my pet peeve. If you're going to pretend like you're drinking coffee or carrying coffee, have you seen the people, like they'll have like when you go to McDonald's, you get the 4 large drinks. I do that. And you're carrying them and they've got them filled with coffees and they're like carrying with one hand. Nobody carries that with one hand unless you're like a massive person with a massive hand and you can like flat it like that. Anyway, so point is, producers, would you please fill your cups with something that's, even if it's just water, that's fine. Get the weight in there. Okay, so real quick, I am going to do a quick little thing here and just tell you. So first of all, again, if you don't know who I am a realtor here in Florida. I am a buyer agent. I am a listing agent. I will help you do whatever you need. We have sold vacant land in the Everglades. We have sold homes all over Florida, although my little neck of the woods really is here in this Orlando, Central Florida area. You can follow us on all sorts of Instagram or social media, Instagram, TikTok. And for instance, here's an example of one of our TikToks. You can enjoy that. If I can find it, there it is. While I cough for a second and heat up my coffee, I'll be right back. People always ask me about bedroom sizes here in Florida. You know, that is a really important topic, especially if you are moving your family and you have kids and you need to know how big those bedrooms are and is it going to fit all of their fun toys. So this particular floor plan is going to give you some really extra large bedrooms, but let's just talk in generalities. So bedrooms can really be anywhere from a smaller version, which is a 10 by 10, all the way up into like 13 by 13s, generally speaking. An average size room, however, is going to be an 11 by 11 or maybe 11 by 12. So if you're thinking, is that going to fit us, use that as your measure. Okay, so, all right, so real quick, just to touch on that TikTok. So that's just an example. So I am 54 years old. So these young whippersnappers and their TikToks and their dance, that's not me. So my TikTok is going to be a little bit more about that, hopefully giving you some little snippets of some things that hopefully those of us who are in or around the same age demographic, specifically home oriented, maybe some of those TikToks will help you. So that I think is a really good one. We talk about room sizes. And just a quick point about that, and then we're going to take another question because there's a really good one from Raz59 over here. Is that room sizes. So if you look at floor plans, if you look on a builder's website, by the way, please, I beg of you, if you go to a builder's website, do not take their information at its face value regarding, okay, first of all, they're great builders and the websites are great, but if they say they have 15 quick move-in, don't believe them, call me and let me find out exactly what they have, what's released, because those could be subject to the waiting list. But what I was getting to with the room sizes is that you'll notice that a lot of floor plans, I don't think I have any around me at the moment, but if I did, yes, I do. Here's one. Okay, so here's like an example of a floor plan. Okay, so this is an example. This is the Magnolia. So this is an example because look, this actually does have the room dimensions on it. So you see that? It kind of gives you maybe I should pull it back a little bit, let it focus. Anyway, but you can see, the dining room is 13 feet, 2 inches by 16 feet. So this builder has it on there, and this is Taylor Morrison, by the way. But not all of the builders are putting those room dimensions on there anymore because you know what? You know that there is going to be somebody that goes, excuse me, the dining room is supposed to be 13.2 and mine is 13.1.5. Right? So a lot of the builders are saying, you know what? If you're going to play that game, we're just going to take it away. So the room sizes are really important. If you are looking for those rooms for either guests, friends, family, kids, room sizes are important. And 10 by 10 is a little bit on the small-ish side, but still completely doable. 10 by 11s, 11 by 12s, those are pretty much your norms. Okay, so there was a question. I want to go back to it before I lose it. Okay, so here, so Raz59 has a question about the pool. Did we get more than one quote? is quoted extremely high for our pool plus fencing. I'm looking forward to our pool build videos. Yes, me too. We are actually very excited about just doing some more forward motion with our pool. So in answer to your question, yes, we did. So when we built this home that we are in right now, that we closed on the day before Thanksgiving in November, this past November, we had the opportunity, because at that time we could build our pool with the construction of our home, which is a huge convenience. If you have that opportunity, you just have to weigh the cost of that. What is the convenience cost versus the monetary cost? And for us, we did meet with that pool builder company. Did not get a great response from them, candidly. I'm not going to mention who they were by name because that's not nice. But they were busy. I understand that. They were super busy, and we were certainly way off in the future. They weren't going to be able to start building our pool at that time because they hadn't even broken ground on our home. But we did meet with them. We told them repeatedly what we were looking for, some very specific features I wanted in the pool. Eric, my husband, had to keep kind of hounding them. Hey, did you have that, rendering for us yet? Do you have any information? And then, reminding. And then finally they came out and it was ridiculously high. They needed all 100% of that up front. And the rendering they gave us literally looked like it was just the most basic little pool, in their little computer program. It had nothing to do with anything that we said that we wanted. So at that point, we made the decision to not use that company, and we felt that it was going to be more beneficial for us, even though the inconvenience is huge, because we do have 3 dogs and a cat, and the backyard is an absolute crazy zone right now because they have dug the pool and the gunite is in. And we will be doing a series on that so you can see kind of our process with that. We are currently using Pools by Bradley, and I will gladly say their name. Jake Pickles. Love Jake. He is our person who has been guiding us through the entire process, and we've had a great experience with them so far. So yes, look forward to them on our series of building this pool, and we're gonna show it to you many times. But yeah, so our first quote was super duper high. Our second quote, candidly, it was about the same price, but it gave me what I wanted. And so in that regard, we have a lot of water features that we're going to do. And so if I think about what the first pool company quoted us 100% upfront, none of the things that I said I wanted, and then the other pool company not needing 100% upfront, giving me things I didn't even know I wanted. It was definitely, for us, I think in the long run, it's going to be worth the wait. Keep in mind, just as a little tidbit, if you have a builder, let's say it's ABC Builders, okay? ABC Builders does not also own ABC Pools, right? So ABC Builders is contracting, CDE or DEF pool company, and they're just tacking on that convenience fee. And sometimes it could be about 30%. So you just have to decide, is that convenience worth 30% of the pool cost just to have the builder be the one to take care of it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. All right, one more question if I can find it, and then I know you guys are probably tired. Thank you, Gonzo. We appreciate you watching. Who else do we have there? Any other questions in here? Does anybody have anything else? This is your last chance, and then I will go. I see a lot of DVC people in here. This is a really good one. Let me go to this one, DVC Live. Does adding solar to a new build really make economic sense? Panel lifespan, lease versus buy, tax, and other incentives. That's a great question. Okay, so I get this a lot, and candidly, we're thinking about doing solar panels as well. Meritage, which is a big builder out here, very energy efficient, always really respected them as a builder that really tries to think above and beyond when it comes to energy efficiency features. I think it was in 2017, maybe it was in 2018. I can't remember. Time's a blur. But that during that timeline, they actually built standard with a few solar panels, and then you had the opportunity in the build process to add more panels to really kind of ramp up the solar power energy factor of it. As far as whether or not it's worth it to do in a new build, it's going to be completely up to you. Candidly, I would say, first of all, if it's new build, it's probably already going to have, well, of course it's going to have, the most updated energy efficiency features in the home to begin with. It's going to have your low E4 windows. Which by the way, here in Florida, most builders have wind resistance up to 120, some up to 140 miles an hour as wind resistance in those windows. But they're double paned. Most of them are already like MI builds with the radiant barrier and the roofing system, and they do the spray foam and the concrete block fill. Meritage, again, we already talked about the spray foam insulation all in their attic space, keeping their attic space in their main living space. That temperature degree differential is very minimal, which really kind of well insulates the home. So I honestly would say, if you feel like you want to build them, or if you want to have the solar panels, maybe wait until after the home is actually built. See what your energy costs truly are, how you live in the home. And if you are planning to be in that home for many years, then it might be worth it. If you are thinking you're going to be there, this is your 3 to 5 or 5 to 7 year plan, and you're going to be leasing those bad boys, it could create not a challenge, but it's just one additional technicality to the sale of your home later. And whether or not that new buyer is going to want to, or be willing to, or financially can basically assume that lease, whether or not we have to price that home to compensate for that. And that's a big unknown, because now we're talking a few years into the future, and who knows what's going to be happening then. But it also depends on your personal preference, to be quite honest. So, but I'll let you know if we decide to do the solar panels. See, I'm tired. I need another sip of my coffee. All right, guys, I think that will probably be it for today, mostly because I have an appointment. I have a client, but this has been so much fun. I hope you guys continue to join me on Mondays. Again, this is just our time to talk, to chat, to connect, and to remind you that we are always here for you with open hearts, open homes, open arms, to help guide you through the process. And that, I think, is really important in this crazy world that we live in. Just to know that it's not just a house you're buying, it's a place that you're going to live in and create memories, lots of laughter, lots of tears, although we hope not too many. And hopefully, if they are, we hope they're happy tears. But we just hope you enjoyed this. Thank you again for watching. I'm absolutely man. Rob says keep talking. This is amazing. I literally didn't think anybody would be watching, but I'm super excited to share all of this with you. And so for that, just remember, as we always say, please remember to stay safe, stay well. Remember that we love you truly, from our hearts we do, and happy house hunting. We'll see you guys next time.